Hey there, friends. I hope your summer is going well. I thought I'd take a minute to share with you something that our staff has been going through together lately. We have been reading this book called Generational IQ by Hayden Shaw. Hayden Shaw also had written a book previously called Sticking Points. And the subtitle on this one is called How to Get 4 Generations Working Together in the 12 Places They Come Apart. And the new book, Generational IQ, the subtitle is Christianity Isn't Dying, Millennials Aren't the Problem, and the Future is Bright. And what Hayden Shaw has taken upon himself to become an expert in and to share with the church is that we live in a unique time when there are more generations alive and living in community together than there have ever been in the United States, because people are living longer. There are more generations now. And we have just done a better job as sociologists and anthropologists have studied what is going on particularly in our country and with the different generations, so that we can now have a better picture of what makes one generation different from the next. And something that the staff is learning, and we're starting to embrace and really learn to appreciate, is that every generation has value and has something unique to offer specifically within the church family. So whether you are a traditionalist or what we would call the builder generation, or a boomer, or a Generation X, or a millennial, or even the Generation Z group that is growing up now. You have something unique to offer to the church family. And what I think is amazing about studying and understanding this better is also knowing that God created the church in a way that it's going to function at its best when every generation is contributing, when every generation has a voice, when every generation is using their influence and their unique perspective and their talents and their gifts. That's when the church is really going to function at its best. There's a lot of language in the New Testament about how each generation has a specific role and an opportunity to bless the people in the church family and in the community abroad. So here's what I want to challenge you to think about. Most of us think that the generations either above us, older than us, or the generations younger than us could learn something from us. We believe that our generation has something important to share. But on the other hand, most of us also hesitate to really listen to people in the generations above us or below us. We tend to think that they don't really have anything to teach us, that the way they see the world and the way they interact with the world is wrong in some way, is misguided in some way. And so while we all think that we have something to share with the generations around us, we also kind of get into this mentality that they don't have anything to say to us. They can't both be true, right? It can't be true that I have something to say to the other generations, but they have nothing to say to me. That can't actually be true. And so my challenge to you is to consider how you are allowing people from other generations to speak into your life. How are you allowing people, specifically from an older generation, your parents' generation or your grandparents' generation, to speak into your life? What opportunities are you giving them to teach you about the way they see the world, and how maybe that could help you understand the way you see the world? What are they teaching you about who God is, how to follow Jesus? And also with the generations that are younger than you, what can they teach you? It's tempting to say, Nothing. They can't teach me anything. If you're older, we tend to believe that if you're older, that you're automatically wiser, that you know more about how the world really works. But what if there are people in the generations below yours, people who are younger than you, that actually have a perspective on the world that you haven't seen yet? Not because you're not wise, but just because you haven't experienced the world the way that they have. What if they have something they could show you, something they can teach you, something they could show you even about who God is and how to follow Jesus? What if we all actually just listened to the generations around us? Ask some specific questions. Ask people to tell us their stories. Ask people to share with us why they see things the way they do. And instead of listening with an ear to criticize or correct, listen with an ear to understand. To understand why we all see the world so differently, and that none of us are actually wrong and none of us are 100% right, but we all have something to teach each other. I think this is what the church is intended to be and do. I think we're supposed to work together so that we build this community that is learning together to see God for who He really is, to see Jesus as the center of our lives and what that means to live that way, and to see our community the way that God sees our community, as full of people that God loves, that He is pursuing dangerously, recklessly with His love, and that He has invited and challenged and called and commanded us to pursue with His love. So, think about some people in your life that are in a different generation than you. Plan your next conversation with them. Think of some questions that you can ask, and to give them an opportunity to speak into your life and to help you understand how they see the world. And let's all continue to pray for one. God, give me one person today. Put one human being in my path today that I can point to Jesus somehow with my words, with my actions, just by living out the gospel. Give me one today. Join me in praying that prayer. I'll see you guys on Sunday.